Well, the Commission on Elections accredits 3 citizens' arms: the National Movement for Free Elections, the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, and the One Vote movement to ensure credible, orderly, and peaceful elections this year. In day 97 of Inform in 100, Kimberly Go zeroes in on the importance of a citizen's arm in an election.
The people's desire to actively take part in shaping national leadership dates back to the late 50s with the establishment of the Operations Registration Committee. There was rampant vote buying and violence at that time. The committee also helped women assert their right to vote. In the 60s and early 70s, the people behind the ORC formally organized into the Citizens' National Electoral Assembly to exercise the right of suffrage on a wider scale. In October 1983, CNEA and other groups from the church, the business sectors, and constitutionalists banded together to form the National Movement for Free Elections. It is to be the first election watchdog in the country and in Asia. The first ever election NAMFREL monitored was the 1984 Batasan Pambansa election. Its commitment to clean the elections was highlighted during the 1986 snap presidential election.
I am ready to call a snap election.
NAMFREL then was an accredited citizens' arm to conduct manual parallel counts. Over 5,000 volunteers offered their time, energy, and life to preserve the sanctity of the ballot. Ferdinand Marcos was declared winner. NAMFREL's count, however, showed that Cory Aquino was the rightful president.
We spelled the difference. No? We provided the proof, no, to the people na ito yung bilang namin. Hindi pa nga natatapos, ang nakita mo na yung laki na yung lamang. Ubusin mo pa yung natitira.
That walkout eventually led to the EDSA People Power Revolt that ousted Marcos and installed Aquino as the country's president.
Ako po si Cory Aquino.
The idea of creating the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting came out in an informal discussion between then Manila Archbishop Jaime Cardinal Sin, COMELEC Chair Heidi Yorak, and Ambassador Henrietta de Villa.
They were in a meeting in the Cardinal's house at the time, and it was a comment that Commissioner Heidi Yorak made. She said, if you count all the loose guns and loose firearms in the country, they would have more loose firearms than our legitimate army itself. So how will you defend for good elections? And then they were brainstorming and they said, you know, we can vote into government, godly people. People who will think of God, who will think of country.
Its main thrust is voters' education. Media accounts indicate a clash between the PPCRV and NAMFREL due to the apparent duplicity of functions. In the end, NAMFREL withdrew its petition for accreditation. NAMFREL says the COMELEC has chosen to deny it access to some data, which they felt defeats the purpose of being a watchdog. PPCRV stood as COMELEC's official citizens' arm. But that may be water under the bridge. PPCRV and NAMFREL are about to work together in 2013.
As a citizens' arm, you monitor. And when you monitor and when you see something wrong, you have to communicate this as viably as you can, as widespread as you can, so that correct measures can be made.
COMELEC, on the other hand, says watchdogs are there to keep the agency on its toes.
The main goal of a watchdog is to keep COMELEC honest, they say. They have their groups who are, because they are presenting a united front, you know, under a banner of a coalition or a group of individuals, who are able to address the COMELEC and to demand certain concessions from the COMELEC.
For the 2013 midterm elections, the COMELEC has accredited 3 citizens' arms. The third group is One Vote, Our Hope movement, organized in February 23, 2009. One Vote has participated in the May 2010 national and local elections. With the presence of NAMFREL, PPCRV, and One Vote, the question now is, can these watchdogs guarantee clean elections?
Meron tayong inaasahan, may pag-asa tayo sa eleksyon na to, makikita natin na may pagkakaroon ng bago.
There are some areas na hindi nila napuntahan, meron din tayong mga tao doon. So what's important is more of the education.
The COMELEC says each citizen's arm has its own job.
Here we're talking about accredited citizens' arms. We have as many of them as there are separate tasks that need to be accomplished.
NAMFRL doesn't see it as a problem as long as COMELEC clearly defines each group's duties. De Villa, meantime, believes the more citizens armed there is, the better. Both COMELEC and NAMFRL, however, still see the election to be tainted with violence.
When they started moving yung automated elections into automated elections, you see a lot of people, no, because they were not familiar with the machine or the system in itself. A lot of them, being Filipinos, no, magilas, no, try to look for ways and means how to beat the system.
So we think that this will be perhaps marked by a lot of vote buying and violence.
But despite this, all three agencies remain hopeful of achieving credible polls this year. Kimberly Go, Solar News.